Hello! There's three of you waiting. Hi. I'm so sorry for the delay. I swear, we're like never getting out of this retrograde, even though we are. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to balance now. I tried to do all these edits with my phone. And that's how I lost the first length. So, we're all learning together. Okay. I think I've got this balanced. And I believe if you make a comment, everybody's gone now. Well, if anybody decides to come back, I think I can see them as typed them. So if you have any questions, hi, welcome back. I cannot see who you are unless I think you throw a comment out, and then I do believe it goes across my screen. So feel free to say hi and to let me know that you're here with me. I am going to be sliding back, so it'll be minuscule font for me to be able to read from that distance. But if I see something pop up, I'll certainly try and make note of it. And if you have questions on anything that we do, then please feel free to ask. Again, apologies for those just joining in. If you were trying to get on at the 8:30 time, we got a little messed up with the linking, and this is still only week 2 of being on the YouTube live stream, so we are working through technology one day at a time. So I appreciate that whoever is watching is patient and is here with me still. So fantastic. In the past couple weeks, I've been leaving my dog with my roommate, shoving her in a back room, and she has been very sad. She keeps crying, waiting for me, so we're gonna try and see if she'll cooperate, just staying right here with us. So she's gonna do some yoga with us. Okay, maybe lay down. Lay down, Pumpkin. She likes to be like attached to me, so please lay down. Thank you. So we're gonna do yoga right next to each other. So, yep, I'm too blind to see that screen, but if something pops up on the screen, that will be my indication that you need me. You can certainly wave and say hi, and we'll read the comments after. So for those who are here, my name is Dr. Sammy, and I am a yoga instructor. I'm also a physical therapist. I treat pelvic floor dysfunction, so a lot of women's health, and I also participate in some energy Reiki healing. And now I teach online, which is so cool. And so I'm glad that I have this opportunity to teach you. And hello, hi Christina, welcome. See, I can see that. I can see that something popped up, so at least gives me an indication. So perfect. So shout out to anybody else who's watching that might be a teacher, because you guys are pretty much running the globe right now. I think that you guys have the toughest job and are the most underpaid. So this is definitely the gifts to you guys, is to access this yoga so that you can find that peace within and help you keep the fuel going that allows you to do what you do for such crap pay. So I think that you guys are just amazing. So anyways, welcome my teacher and any other teachers and anybody else who's joining in. We're always a big fan of the teachers. Welcome Christina. And then if anybody else is here, I cannot tell, so you'll just have to make a comment. All right, so we're gonna start in a seated position, whatever comfortable seat that means for you. Maybe you're sitting on top of a prop or on top of a blanket, on top of something that's a little bit more comfortable that makes it easier to sit upright. And we're just gonna rest our hands on our lap and begin to take inhales and exhales through the nose. And the reason we do it through the nose is because it helps to stimulate a relaxing effect in the body. When we're breathing in and out through the mouth, although there are different breathing patterns that involve the mouth, it does tend to excite the body in a way that it feels like we are getting into that fight or flight mode. So if we can try and target just breathing in and out through the nose, ideally that would be our goal. But if there's, for whatever reason, that's not easy for you or possible, then you are also to not feel any guilt or shame at anything that you are unable to participate in. That is part of the yoga release as well. So we'll begin in this comfortable seat and begin by taking inhales and exhales through your nose. Allow for a nice stillness to move through the topmost part of your body, and as if you were taking a shower and you feel that water just wash over the crown of your head, it pours down your shoulders, pours down your sides, into your pelvis, your legs, your knees, your shins, your ankles, your feet, and into the floor. Feel that imaginary water just washing away any tension from your day, your week, your month, your year, maybe your lifetime, whatever it is that needs to be released. Wash it away with that imaginary shower. And just as you might follow some of the droplets coming down and making their way down, there's still a stream coming, so that continuous flow of energy, imagine that moving through you and wiping away anything that you don't need. And ever so carefully, we're going to flutter the eyes to a soft gaze. We're going to let our arms stretch out to the side and inhale as we stretch them all the way up above our head. Exhale, hands back down to heart center. When you take that inhale, think about really reaching through the fingertips and lifting out of your trunk and torso. So think height, but relaxing through the shoulders. Exhale, release the hands back down. Inhale, scoop the arms all the way up, reaching nice and tall. Exhale, hands back down towards your heart center. Excellent. We're going to take ourselves into a tabletop, so prepare for a kneeling posture. So if you have some trouble with putting pressure directly on your knees, then maybe grab something a little soft that you can kneel on. We're going to come forward onto our hands and knees, and we're just going to take 3 cat-cows. We've been doing these in our class quite a few times, so I want to move on and take some other postures in addition to that today. But cat and cow is a great way to further warm up our spine. So see this motion here. This is a fun little lesson for your cat and your cow. When we go into the cow part of our posture, the elbows, these are called the eyes of the elbows, the part that bends. We're going to bring the eyes of the elbows forward. And what that does is it rolls our shoulders to the back and it opens up and broadens our heart. So when we do this motion, we're coming forward, lifting through our gaze, and we're also extending our hips to the back wall. When we exhale, those elbows are going to dial in. We're going to push through the floor, especially the index and the thumb. Round through the back, tuck the chin towards your chest. Take your next big inhale as you move your body into your cow. Eyes of the elbows forward. Exhale, push into the mat. Let the eyes of the elbows face your body. Inhale, taking in a nice big breath, thinking about your fuel and your energy. And as you exhale, push back into the floor and round that chin towards your chest. And then we'll just release back to neutral. We're going to take a low lunge today. So we'll take that right leg first and we're going to slide it up and forward. And we're going to come right up into our low lunge. So we're sinking a little bit deep into the pelvis. I'm going to just rotate my body a little bit. Oh, my dog wants to help me. We're letting the front of that left hip really sink closer towards the floor. So we're trying to bend deep into that thigh and allowing for the fascia to release. If you've been at a desk job all day perhaps, then you're in a sitting position where the legs are kind of up more forward, and that shortens the muscles in the front side of the body. Most of us are working throughout our day shortening our muscles because we're operating in flexion. This posture begins to take us into extension. So we're taking the hip and bringing it back, as well as starting to take the knee into a little bit more of a flexed position. And we can work from our hips up in this position too. So if I kind of place my hands on the hips, you might find some height to grow out of your hips, maybe thinking about space between the rib cage and the spine. And let's take our arms and reach them up above our head so that energetically we're creating that upward lift. Even out of the turn it inward so that you're pelvic tilting, and then feel like for the body, is it just as beneficial in a less deep stretch because we are lifting out of our trunk and torso than being in a deep stretch and perhaps not getting as much height. So play with those variables, because where you receive the benefits is exactly where you need to receive the benefits. Let's take an inhale, reaching those arms up. And then exhale, release the arms back down to the mat. We're going to push the hands into the earth and slide our right leg back and slide our left leg forward. I'm just rotating funky for you guys so you can see. And we're going to sink into the right pelvis, lifting ourselves up. Maybe not dumping everything all the way in. Maybe we tilt and engage the pelvis to protect and create height and create lift. And then we'll rise those arms tall towards the ceiling, really trying to decompress the spine and opening up the pelvis. A very, very beneficial stretch, and it doesn't take very long to feel those benefits. It feels just right to open up that pelvis. So we're going to take another cycle of breath here as we lift with our inhale, and then relax on your exhale, bringing the hands back down to the floor, sliding your left leg back to meet the right. Hi, Lynn, welcome. There's my teacher, I knew she was coming. So we're gonna prepare to come into standing, and we're gonna do so with a forward fold. So if moving up and down off the ground has been a challenge, then this is a great way to practice it. So having a chair handy may be helpful for some added support. Otherwise, we're gonna just take our toes, turn them under, push back into your heels, and see if you can just lift those knees up off of the mat. If you can lift the knees up off of the mat, you should have enough core strength to be able to then push all the way up into your downward dog. And we're gonna pedal out our downward dog today. It's an inversion posture, and I wanna go through several parts of this pose that help to make it a little bit better. I'm actually trying to stay in window with you guys, but really my downward dog should be a little bit longer. And I'm gonna look up with my head and neck, but you should not. Listen to the cues. If you need to look up for reference, it's okay, but try to avoid it. Your head and neck should be tucked chin to chest, gaze is towards the tummy. In this posture, you wanna alternate pushing one heel down towards the floor at a time to help work out some of the tension in the hamstrings and in the calves. If you're dying here in your arms, it's probably because all of the weight is coming into your wrists. And usually people think their wrists are the problem, but it's really your shoulders. So take your arms out a little wider and push your body away so that your chest comes a lot closer to the floor. If that's still not working for you, you can drop your forearms down and try this position, or just stay in tabletop and keep the arms stretched out like this so that you can work on that motion. So coming back to that downward dog, really just a pass-through posture. We're gonna take our feet and bend the knees, walk them up towards our hands, coming into a forward fold. This is where you can be forward folding over maybe a chair if this is a little bit more comfortable. Notice how bent my knees are because my trunk is actually resting on my thighs. And so the rest of my body can just completely melt. Allow it to relax. And then over time, the weight shifts into the balls of the feet. See how when I just shift into the balls of the feet, the tailbone's already starting to lift? If I can keep the connection with my tummy and my thighs, then I might just start extend the knees and bringing them all the way up. So that way we get a nice deep forward fold. Forward folds are great for bringing the blood flow back into the brain, great for opening up the back body. And let's take ourselves all the way up into standing. We're gonna do so first by dropping our bottom. So I want you to really feel like you're going into a squat and then lifting your chest up away from the floor. So maybe even using the pressure of the fingertips to help. And then take your arms out to the side, drop your bottom, lift your heart, rise with nice strong legs, all the way into standing, bring the arms above your head, and then exhale them back down to heart center. Don't worry if you weren't sure about that, we're gonna practice it again so that you can get that repeat. So, okay, we're back. I was reconnecting for a minute, but now I'm reconnecting with you all. So, we left off in forward fold, and so we're gonna come back up to the top. So the first move is really think about dropping the bottom and lifting the heart. Maybe even coming back down into the fold, drop the bottom, lift the heart, back into a fold. Last time, drop the bottom, lift the heart, but this time, engage the legs, up with your chest, power up to rise, coming into standing, reaching the arms above your head, and exhale, hands back down to heart center. Nicely done. We're gonna take a nice wide stance. Now that we're in standing, take your toes and just try and keep them forward, maybe even dialed inward. We call this pigeon-toed, but if that creates any kind of discomfort, then certainly do not push that direction. It just may provide extra stretching to the outer thighs that you might not normally get. So maybe feeling that little bit of an inward turn. And then we're gonna rise both arms up above our head, taking our right hand to the left wrist. You're gonna stretch that arm all the way up straight, and once you feel you've taken out all the slack out of the trunk, then we start to take ourselves into a side bend stretch. The wide stance helps us to keep stability, keep our base nice and strong, And we always want to be reaching up before we reach over, because this just doesn't even look pretty or pleasant. Even though I can be here, I can be all the way over here thinking I'm creating a side bend stretch, but instead what I'm doing is collapsing. There's a lot of pinching and collapsing here. So better to take height and a long stretch. And I feel something way more effective in my body here with length and keeping alignment than crunching through the tummy and to try and make it look a certain type of way. Let it feel the way it should feel for you. And we're gonna come out of this little side bend with an inhale. So when you take your next inhale, lift up, reaching towards the ceiling, and we're gonna release the arms. Exhale, just taking a pause. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up, this time taking the left hand to clasp the right wrist. Stretch up tall, nice and tall, really finding some space in the ribs, and then start to side bend away. And you might have one side that feels a little different than the other, and that's all right. We're just working for some symmetry here, working for some space to create in our breathing centers. Don't ever stop reaching up, even though you're reaching over. And with an inhale, we rise, coming back up nice and tall. Exhale, release the arms back alongside your body. We're gonna take some other stretches here. So we're gonna take a warrior. So I'm gonna take my left leg forward and my right leg back. And I want you to pretend like you're standing on railroad plinths. So it's actually quite wide. A lot of people, although there are certain practices where Warrior One is practiced very narrow, the goal is to get your hips square, and to square it when your leg is directly back and behind is a lot of pressure on the knee, and I don't like it, not as a therapist. So we're gonna go with a better alignment-based Warrior One. It's a little bit safer. Hips are square, so if you feel like one is dipping back a little deeper than the other, go ahead and cup the front of your hips, feel that they're forward, press that back heel straight and strong, bend into this front knee, but not too much where you have any kind of pain or pressure. We're gonna inhale, let our arms rise all the way up towards the ceiling, and then we're just gonna exhale and let them keep going, opening up that chest. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Inhale, lifting up, lead through the fingertips and the thumb, flip the palms, exhale. I don't know what you want, sweetheart. What is it? Inhale and exhale. And on this last exhale, take your hands and interlace them together and extend through the elbows and opening the chest. I don't know what kind of sounds my dog is making right now, but she cries with me, she cries without me, so here we are. So I'm in my Warrior One stance. We're trying to open our chest. We're trying to also keep this leg straight and strong, so that way we're really receiving a lot of benefits in the body. You can see that this is a similar extension in the pelvis as we did in our low lunge. It just provides added benefits being in standing and opening the chest a little bit differently. So from here, we're gonna release the grip. We're gonna inhale, rise the arms all the way up, and then we'll exhale, float them back alongside our body. And let's take the other side. So for you, you'll probably be swapping legs. My left leg was forward, so now my right leg will be forward and my right leg will be back. Hi, pumpkin. Okay, so we're coming into Warrior One on the other side. Our hips are square. We've got a comfortable bend in this front knee, but it's not our deepest bend. We could go deeper, but it would compromise our knee, so we want to stay kind of subtle. And you do want even distribution in both legs. We're gonna inhale, swooping the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Exhale, fan them out. Really moving those shoulders through their full range. Inhale, rising up. Fan them out, exhale. Let's take this last one, inhale. Fan them out, exhale. Take those hands, interlace them behind your body. Extend through the elbows, open your chest. And then this time we're going to take that left leg and really extend it back and strong so that you're not front leg heavy or back leg, I don't know, something. We just want to be even here in the middle so that both legs are contributing nice and strong. You almost want to feel like you're pushing your mat or the floor apart. And then we're continually opening that chest up as it becomes available. Let's release our arms, inhale, swoop them all the way up towards the ceiling. And then we'll exhale, release them back down alongside our body, nicely done. We're gonna bring our body back forward into that nice wide stance that we started with. Okay, so we're gonna take some warrior two practice, and I've got, oh good, we still have 10 minutes. I lose track of time, I get lost in the yoga, because it's great. And time is just an illusion anyways, it doesn't even exist. We just make it up so that we can function in this world, but anywho. So the toes point forward, our hips, I'm pointing my hips towards you, and they're gonna continue to point towards you. They're not gonna end up angling or pointing in any other direction, not with this posture. So with warrior two, we're gonna take our right leg and we're just gonna turn the toes out. And before even bending through the knee, continue to check on those hips. Let this be of utmost importance. With keeping these hips level, it does not take much for me to bend through that leg and start to feel a very well aligned warrior two. Now that I know where my hips are, I can kind of start to challenge the width a little bit more by engaging more of the buttocks area so that I'm opening the pelvis this way. This is a tough direction for a lot of us, so this is a great way to practice it. If you look at your right knee and you feel like it's buckling in a lot and it's not creating pretty angles and maybe even stress on the knee, then it is. You want to take that knee and bring it back so that it's stacked right above the ankle. This is a nice solid warrior two position, and you still want that even push through both of the legs, even engagement. So you're not just pushing down and out, but you're also pushing up and in with action. So it's kind of all in the same time. So even if you're like, I have no idea what you just said, just factor any kind of action of the legs and it will continue to layer itself and it will make more sense over time. So let's take our right arm and extend it out and just kind of feel that reach and not let that reach pull our trunk forward. We're just placing it while still keeping an aligned trunk. What's up, pumpkin? Maybe she's constipated. Left arm, we're gonna bring back at shoulder height, and our gaze is gonna go over the right middle finger. This is a nice strong warrior. We're just gonna take one more cycle of breath here. And one more inhale. As you exhale, release those arms. We're gonna straighten out through the right knee, dial the toes in of the right side, dial the left toes out, but keep those hips square. See how my automatic movement, look how much forward this hip is. I have to correct that by creating action back here. So I'm gonna start opening my hips, which I really can't do well, so I'm gonna have to slide my feet closer together, open my hips back up to you guys. Let me start there, just like you guys should. And then we start to bend through the knee. Wow, this side is different than the other, isn't it? Maybe for you too. Finding that alignment, really opening up through the pelvis, feeling equal and even, pushing out and pulling in the thighs, because we're down and into the floor, but we're also zipping up that midline, allowing for the torso to stay nice and aligned over the hips. Let's bring our left arm forward and our right arm back, and we've got a nice strong warrior, and I'm trying to creep myself into a deeper position now that I'm feeling into the body. And we'll take a cycle of breath here. So full inhale and exhale. Inhale again. And then exhale, release. Allow those arms to float back down. We'll straighten out through the left knee, dial the toes in, and we're just gonna heel, toe, the feet back in together. And we're gonna bring ourselves back down to the floor. So we're gonna inhale. And as you exhale, here we go. Bend through the knees, chest open, chest open, chest open. Now I'm close enough where my belly's gonna come onto the thighs and we fold forward. We're gonna just inhale, taking a moment here in a flat back. And then as we exhale, fold again. And then we're gonna just walk our hands forward, walk our knees down towards the floor, and we're gonna swivel onto our backs. So if some of you are like, when do we get to do the lay down stuff? We're doing the lay down stuff. So we're almost there. We've got about 5 more minutes of our practice today. So I believe I need to scoot pretty far back to be seen. So I'm gonna lie on my back. Take your right leg lifted up and over, opening up that pelvis, and take your hand, your right hand, and just push, encourage that knee away from the body. If you don't feel a deep enough stretch in this position, there's a few things that you can do. One is take that left heel and slide it a lot closer. That will deepen the stretch. If that's still not enough, taking yourself into an even deeper stretch with the hip rotators. I'm going to use my right elbow to help push that knee out and away, even being here in this position, so that we just get that little added push. If you'd like, you can take this leg up straight, although it's not necessary, nor does it necessarily make this part of the posture any better. It just changes some of the things that are felt in the body. Let's do a couple deep breaths. We're going to take 2 more total. Nice inhale through the nose. Exhale. Last one. Nicely done. Let's release that leg back down to the floor. And we're going to take that leg, extend it up nice and tall. Maybe just pull that leg in towards your body just to encourage a hamstring stretch. And then we'll just release that leg back down to the mat. Let's take the left leg up, cross it over so that the ankle is hanging off the edge of the knee. Start by just pushing that knee away from the body, and if you don't feel a deep enough perceived stretch, then take the right heel and slide it close to your bottom to see if that helps. And if you're still feeling a little you've got too much motion for this position, then you need to take it a little deeper, grabbing the back side of this thigh and then pulling that closer to the body. Maybe using that left elbow as an arm bar to help push that inner thigh and knee out. Oh, sure. What's wrong, baby? What's wrong, princess? I took her for a walk right before this so that she would feel satisfied. I gave her food, and maybe she doesn't know it's out yet. Oh, I love you. Are you helping? Oh. Let's take one more cycle of breath here. And then we'll just release that back down. We're going to take this leg and straighten it up towards the ceiling, just giving that hamstring a little pull, a little love. And we'll release that leg back down to the floor. And then a very brief Shavasana I would love to take you through. So if you would like to take a traditional Shavasana, laying on your back with your hands, palms facing up and your legs extended, you can do this. If the back is for any reason not comfortable with that, you can always bend the knees, which will help to take the arch out of the spine, knocking the knees together or letting them splay. Those are great options. If you just don't do good laying on your back, you can always just lay in a different position on your side or even sitting in a chair. This buddy. Oh, that's the cutest little thing ever. Anyways. So as you develop your comfortable Shavasana position, this is a chance for you to integrate everything that we've just done. And in a 30-minute yoga class, it is surely impossible to check off every pose, every lesson, every breath. There's a lot in our yoga practice, which is why it's a practice, and it's not something you just do, it's something you practice, and it's never ending. I'm still a student just as I am a teacher. So be kind to yourselves as you are on this journey of learning yourself, learning maybe different parts of your body and how to move them and control them, different parts of your mind and how to relax your mind. So this is an opportunity for you to integrate everything that you've done into your mindfulness and meditation. So if this is anybody's first little yoga experience ever, Shavasana translates to corpse pose. Shavasana is in Sanskrit, which is the language that we use to represent the postures, which is less important if you don't care about that part. But the corpse pose is the posture that is the easiest for the body, but the hardest for the mind. And so this is a chance where we get to choose what we do with our mind. And you can choose to be very active and engaged, or you can choose to observe your mind, being the soul, being the seer of the mind, recognizing that just as our quadriceps are a part of this human body, our brain and the way that our mind works is also a part of this human body. And it's not a part of our spirit. And so sometimes, just like a muscle might be not strong enough, or it could be too spastic, your mind cannot be strong enough or too spastic. And we have to do what? We retrain it. We practice changing the way that it assumes its normal resting state is. So when you lay here in your Shavasana and you say, I can't meditate because my mind is ping-ponging back and forth, well, welcome to the universe. That is what all of our minds do. And it is in your choice to change that. It is your choice to say, I recognize that that's happening, and I'm choosing to just be an observer to it. That is all it takes. It's that first step. Be an observer to the activity, and then as we develop our practice, you'll be able to make choices as to what you're going to focus your attention on instead. So now that you have hopefully found a comfortable position in Shavasana, take several deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose to maintain that wonderful state of relaxation. And know that this state is nothing more than a product of your choice to be here this evening, to practice on you, to help better you, to fill your spirit and your heart with what it needs so that you can operate in this crazy thing we call life. Know that you deserve everything that you ask for in this universe, and that every moment you spend here contemplating your worth, allow yourself to answer that question with yes. Everything that you're doing has purpose. Let that voice deep inside guide you. Feel free to stay here for the rest of the night, sending you off into hopefully a blissful sleep. If that is the case, then I will be happy to see you all later. If you'd like to join us for a panel discussion on Facebook after this, then please feel free to join in. Otherwise, the light and honor in me respects and honors the light within all of you. It was my great pleasure to share this short window of time with you, and I hope that you will join me again every Monday. We've moved the class up, 8:30. It's a lot more accessible than some of the later times at 9, so please come join me at 8:30. And if you have any feedback, if you have any questions or requests, please let us know, and we will be happy to provide. Namaste.